That's
You,
important.
you can do more with poor taste if you're going to do that, I guess.
True.
Ask Peter Jackson about his early films.
Yeah.
Just
Or not.
go if you're going to go for it, go for it. Don't
Yeah.
halfway.
Ryan, 2026 marks the end of a very long film era
Yeah.
in that the Sundance Film Festival will no longer be held near the Sundance Institute in Park City, Utah. It will instead go to Boulder, Colorado. That hip happening place. We both saw some movies.
Yeah, I think we've actually I think I've matched your total now.
I have 11.
Yeah.
So
I'm either I think I might be at 12.
I won't tell you, I won't put on record how I have access to 3 more,
Yeah,
but
that's
I
fine.
should get 3 more. So let's just talk about some of the hits. Okay, but let's talk about some of the hits and bits, what we were looking for, what we didn't, and Sundance in general. But first, let me say, I just said I've seen 11 movies.
Yeah.
And for the umpteenth year in a row, somehow I have seen 5 documentaries. I don't understand
I've seen a
how I'm
couple.
seeing so many documentaries
Well,
when I
it's
want to be seeing all the midnight shows.
well, that's I think that there's an issue that I have with the way that they do the midnights in the sense that the midnights have kind of become one of the major draws. But they make them very hard to get to at times. And I think that's unfortunate, but
And let's outline this for people, because there's, when we talk about Sundance in general, we're going to talk about some stuff. You and I had access 2 different ways.
Yes.
You
Well, and
did,
you were up in Park City during the press and industry screenings.
because that was really all I could do.
That was your best shot.
Best shot at seeing movies was to wait in line to try to get into films 5 minutes before they start.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
but I went a different direction. I thought about doing it your way, but part of this is this was I think my 17th year of covering Sundance as media and
Right.
as just as a film goer, you stack on another at least 7, whatever. So this is a long term relationship that I've had with this festival, and the only way I can equate to how it's kind of felt the last week is that you've got uh, a significant other that you're still in love with, but is leaving you, and
Right.
you understand why they're leaving, and in a way you support that decision, but in another way you still are gutted that they're leaving.
Yeah.
And so I I wanted to go to screenings that were going to have Q&As. I wanted to go to screenings that were more interactive than the press and industry screenings tend to be.
Yeah.
So I mean I sacrificed quantity for what I considered to be kind of a I don't know that quality is the right word, but I just wanted a different experience. And
Right.
so those first days, I think also there are sometimes you see films and you just don't want to see another film right after, either because that film was so good or because that film was just something about the film
Impactful.
just yeah, something,
Yeah.
and
We
so
had one of those.
I kind of I was able to get some tickets. They gave so I would basically have a ticket a day, and I
Right.
would kind of just build off of that. And there were days where it's like, you know what, that was a great Sundance experience. That's good enough for me.
That happened.
I'm not gonna, and also another issue was Salt Lake only had literally 3 screens,
Right.
Rose Wagner and 2 screens at the Broadway. So there were incredibly limited options down here. And it was wild because there would be screenings where 50 people would be turned away. Or there were, and that includes waitlist and people who are actually ticketed or whatnot.
Right.
I mean, there were events where ticketed people didn't get in because so many passes got
Yep.
in. It's kind of a weird system, but um, and then there were films that had this really only happened at the Rose, but a few films at the Rose Wagner that I saw had 30 empty seats,
Yeah.
and they were listed as sold out. So
And people didn't show up.
people didn't show up apparently,
Yep.
and they didn't even show up for the wait list. The wait list was weird. There would be ones where you're 50 in line and somehow you're 10th in line
because
because
it's the E wait list.
yes, so many, which and I had a conversation with some of the diehards that have been doing this for years.
Mhm.
And it used to be if you wanted to see a movie, you show up 2 hours early and you're going to probably get in.
Right.
Now with the E wait list, it's changed radically in the sense that it's a race to get a good number in the E wait list,
Yep.
and then you're kind of playing, and fortunately for me, I mean, I live very close to the Broadway, so I could do the e-wait list. And if I was a really high number and I didn't feel like going over, I didn't go over. If I had a low number, I felt pretty confident I'd get in and I'd go over.
Right.
But um, yeah, I think the midnight films in Salt Lake were very hard to get to because they have one showing. A lot of them, there were a couple here and there that played at the same time, which was like. And it was funny actually because Saccharin and Leviticus played at the same time, and there were people who had actually bought tickets to both, not realizing that they were
At the same
overlapping.
time. See, and I got to see them both.
See, and I saw one of the two. I saw Saccharin, but it's been a weird experience for this. But I had there were some great Q&As. There were some terrible questions, but there were some great questions.
Mhm.
So
Similar.
at this point, and now I'm in online mode where I can sit and consume and consume and consume. And that's what I did last night. I mean, as I was telling you before, you wanted to say, how early can we do this? And I was like, oh, I was up till 5 watching films. It was only going to be 3, but then with the online, if you start the film, you only have a window to watch it. On some films, it's a couple hours.
Yeah.
And there's one I started and we decided we wanted to watch something else. So I had to go back and watch the thing
And
that I
finish it.
started, or otherwise it disappears.
Yep.
So that it wasn't going to be nearly as late of a night as it ended up being. But I've been genuinely pleased with the quality of film.
Overall, I was too. I have to tell you that up in the P&I tent, the press and industry tent,
Yeah,
for all of you people at home, where I was waiting, there were at least 3 films where well over 100 people were turned away.
yeah,
Buddy was one of them, which was on my list.
yeah,
Shitheads, sorry, the Shitheads, they turned away again well over 100. And then there was one other whose name escapes me at the moment, but that one wasn't on my list. But I was like, oh, The History of Concrete.
Hmm.
And I was like, I wanted to see that one. And I was like, are you kidding me? It's like I thought I was going to be the outlier on
Yeah.
wanting to see, but apparently it's got good buzz.
Hmm.
And so that they turned away a bunch of people. It's like, wow. So we had to make a couple replacements, a couple decisions. We both saw Saccharin.
Yes.
So Australian horror, different than
Hmm.
American horror,
Yeah.
different than Asian horror. Those crazy people that are upside down
Hmm.
make different movies.
Yeah.
So I saw that one. Leviticus was also Australian. And then I saw a New Zealand one, Mom, I'm Alien Pregnant, which is more of a comedy horror.
Yeah.
But again, different sensibilities. Saccharin is really good.
It is. And part of it is that yes, it's body horror, but and I love a good body horror picture. Don't get me wrong, and generally speaking, I don't need a body horror to be symbolic for something else or whatever.
No, it can just be,
It can just be a body horror. But Saccharin is a film is about eating disorder. And it's
pick one:
also
eating disorder, body positivity.
yeah, and so they're using it in a slightly different way. I guess you could sort of reference the substance, but
Yeah, it's a very
it's a
it
variation
brushes
on
up
that
against
theme.
that. Yeah.
It's still a radically different film. But if you
Oh
like
yeah.
the substance, I think you would like this as well.
Yep.
I think
It's grosser than the substance.
it is, and the reason why I would say that is that when the substance gets really crazy, it is so over the top that it's almost not nearly as effective.
That's cartoony.
Yeah. Whereas this and to be clear, there's horrific scenes in this film that are not gory at all.
Yeah.
That are just it's partially the way that it's shot. I would say that this is a film that's shot beautifully, but it's a very ugly movie. Like it's
Yeah.
the stylized version of it. It's really pretty what they've done with it, but what you're looking at is really ugh,
Yeah.
at times just grotesque. And again, not necessarily just in a gore way,
Right.
because there is a eating disorder element of this. There is some eating in this film that is just yeah, it's punishing. You're
Well,
watching an
the opening credits
oh goodness, yeah,
it's
yeah,
like, what the hell am I watching? And then
and
you get there
yeah.
and you're like, I guess, and then
Yeah,
you roll into the movie, but it was insane in
yeah,
so
and
many ways.
but it's incredibly effective.
Oh yeah.
Really good performances.
Yes.
Um, uh, it's smart. It has an ending that blew the minds of half the audience for some reason, which I whatever. I mean, I it was the ending it needed to have, as far as
Right.
I was concerned. I thought the where it ends, I thought it was going to get to a little earlier, um, but it didn't, and that's fine. But then it did get there in the end, and there were a lot of, the Q&A after was interesting. I think the director was far more open, um, to explain her interpretation or her vision than I probably would have been. Again, the ending's a little, I guess, shocking for some people.
Right.
And when asked about it, she gave an answer where my answer would have been, "It's a horror movie. What do you expect?
Right.
What did you
How would you have ended it?
what did you think was going to happen?"
Right.
But her the I don't think it's too much of a reveal, but the there is a theme in this film, and it continues with the ending, and that is there is no quick fix that doesn't come with a cost.
Yep.
Um, and the easy answer is not always going to be the cleanest, if that makes
No.
sense.
Yep.
It's gonna get ugly. Um,
In so many ways.
and I think and that was carried through to the very end of the film.
Yep.
And also I feel like the very end of the film had been set up by a lot of things leading up to that. There's a lot of visual cues that are
Mhm.
floating around in this film that kind of point to where things are going. And you could probably write this is a film you could write you could do a graduate paper on, sort of thing, because there's so many layers and things that are going on in it.
Yep.
That doesn't mean you sit there and you have to like dig through all the intellectual stuff to get to in fact, the intellectual stuff, a lot of it's kind of like the secondary under the
Yeah.
under the undercurrent. So I just yeah, that film, um it was really a good Sundance experience, for me, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. And obviously, I'm always up for a good horror, and I think that this one definitely qualifies. I could see it do really well. I could also see people just not being able to, do it. Before the film, the director came up and said, "Hey, look, this film might be triggering for some of you who have eating disorders because, well, this is based on my own experiences and kind of the traumatic elements that of the story. They're mine." And so it is a difficult film, but I think it's also exciting because it is difficult.
Yeah. It I really enjoyed it. Um, I don't know if I sent you my whole list. I don't know what else we may have watched. Did you watch American Doctor?
I did not know.
I have the review written,
Yeah,
and I want to go over it one more time
sure.
because this movie is fraught with the things that we don't talk about on this podcast.
Some
But
some politics, huh?
oh, just a skosh. Um, but just as a human being watching the film, it is not an easy watch.
Mm.
It is Absolutely. It is one of the more devastating films that you will sit through to try to get through this thing. So that review, hopefully, I will drop later today. We'll feel bad about it. But on the upside, after we got out of that one, I saw that one with Val,
Yeah.
and she goes, "I need a minute," and she walked off. I'm like, "I get it," and she went off and did a quick, I guess, TikTok cry, and then we had to clear our palate, so we wound up watching another documentary, the Maria Bamford story,
Hmm.
Paralyzed by Hope. Still kind of depressing. It's a mental illness movie,
Yeah.
sort of, but also it's Maria Bamford and she's hilarious. So she's a comedian. If you guys don't know who
Yeah.
Maria
Yeah.
Bamford is, look her up. She's hilarious. And then one called Bedford Park. I don't know if that was on your list to see.
Yeah, I have it. I haven't watched it.
It is the easiest comparison is that it's in the neighborhood of Past Lives,
Okay.
but it is still a different film.
Yeah.
So again, so just take that for what that is worth. But yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know how I got 5 of 11 documentaries. Everybody to Kenmure Street was the other one,
Yeah.
or was another one.
In
I don't
Ireland,
know if
yeah.
you saw that one or if it's on your list.
It's on my radar.
It's great subject,
Yeah.
interesting and compelling event, but I don't know that I was happy with the film.
All right.
So it's weird. It's like it's really interesting. Yeah, I hate the word timely. Sure, it's timely,
Yeah.
but I don't know that the movie would. I don't know why I don't necessarily like the way the movie's put together, but I don't know. But so it's worth a watch, but I don't think it's the best movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So it's just weird. Produced by Emma Thompson, by the way.
Okay.
There you go. So that's that one, but that's good.
I saw a really weird documentary actually.
Which one?
Broken English, which is a Marianne Faithfull documentary.
That's right. You did. How I heard a lot of mix on that.
Well, I think ultimately, look, when you make a documentary, inevitably there is bias.
Sure.
And what I liked, I mean, Broken English is weird in that they have created a fictional organization that essentially Tilda Swinton is the head of this fictional organization, and George McKay is or Mac is it McKay or Mac anyway?
I think it's Mackie.
Yeah, Mackie. He is doing interviews with Marianne Faithfull. So you have actors playing characters doing a documentary.
Does she know that they're actors doing roles?
I don't know. I think so. But what it allows the film to do, and I think this is why I'll quote unquote allow it. Not that I can stop them.
So, yeah, right.
Why I think it works is because it is very honest and clear about what its intentions are. Tilda Swinton basically says, this is a film that is made by people, not by AI that would just go and find all the big headlines and compile them. This is a film that exists as a document made by people to allow its subject to have a voice in what her legacy is. So that's what it's doing. Inevitably it's let's show Marianne segments from her life,
right?
Old videos, things that they've dug up,
and then let her
react and talk about them. And that's not that unusual from a documentary, but again, it's unusual in that they said this is our purpose. This is why we're doing this. And a lot of times that's unspoken. And Marianne was very plain about what this film was. And what was ironic is standing in line, a guy behind me was talking to somebody. They were strangers talking, and he's like, "Yeah, you know, Marianne Faithfull, she was Mick Jagger's longtime girlfriend." and my eyes kind of rolled at that point because it's like she was Mick Jagger's girlfriend for a couple years of a, you know, what, a 70-year life or something.
Right.
And it just felt like incredibly reductive. And there was a part of me that was like, I hope this film is not just about, her, because I really didn't know I hadn't done a lot of research. I hadn't done a lot of anything about it. And my fear was that it was going to end up being a film that was about that moment because let's face it, that's probably a film that could get made.
Well, they
There's
made
probably,
one about Bruce Springsteen making an album.
so, I mean, I would argue it's such a drug fueled era that whatever, but
Yeah.
um, that was so my eyes rolled not because the guy was wrong, but more because I was afraid of that's what I might get.
Uh,
And had I done my homework, which I didn't necessarily, and I don't know that you necessarily have to do your homework going in, I would have been relieved to know that actually the director, um, Ian Forsyth and James Pollard, did one of my favorite Sundance Experience films. They did a Nick Cave documentary called 20,000 Days on Earth.
mm,
That was a very untraditional documentary about Nick Cave and the way he writes his songs. And it was very magical realism and stylized, and it all is supposed to take place, I think, during a single day, and just all this stuff happens that clearly it's sort of a documentary and it's sort of not.
right.
It takes on the elements of the person that they're making a film about, and I felt like that was kind of what this film did too, is that it took on Marianne Faithfull's outspokenness and whatnot. So did it need to have this fake organization? I don't know, probably not, but it also kept it from just being one of those films, and we see a lot of these where it's just talking heads.
Where it's just a fawning retrospective.
Yeah, and they brought in they had segments in this where you had musicians going into the studio to record some of her songs.
Mm,
And what was kind of interesting is they didn't really, like, at certain points you had Thurston Moore from Sonic Youth, you had Courtney Love from Hole, and they didn't really play up that about, well, that's who these people are. They were just sort of in the film,
right.
if that makes sense. They just kind of popped up and they were singing a song and in the studio, and they, whatever.
And then they were done.
And they were done, and it wasn't, I don't know. It was an unusual film, but I think it worked incredibly well and I enjoyed it. And again, I was thankful that it wasn't just about the tabloid era, because she was a tabloid star,
Right.
which I missed entirely. Being an American, I didn't know who she was until I, saw um, The City of Lost Children, and she does the final song in that film. And so that's kind of where, that was mid 90s for me.
Well, I have that. I actually need to pull it out and watch it again. It's
Yeah,
been a
she does.
long time.
She does. Well, Ron Perlman, of course. You have to own it. But
Right.
no, it's a phenomenal film, and she did the final track on that, and just thought it was this really haunting thing. And so that's kind of how I was introduced to her. So I kind of
Mm,
didn't know about the early days, because she had about a 15-year break from everything, because
right.
she did a lot of drugs and was homeless and things. And they don't really go heavy into that. It's more about her artistic career.
Right.
But so it was interesting to me because I didn't ever really know her as the tabloid darling
Right.
that everyone else seemed to have known her as. That was kind of like a footnote,
Right.
is how I describe it, rather than the headline for me. So I thought that was incredibly interesting and recommend that to anybody who likes music, really,
Mm.
and just kind of weird documentaries. Other documentaries, I saw The Lake, which
How
is
was that?
well, I'm okay. The lake. So the lake is about here in Utah. We have the Great Salt Lake, and it is shrinking. And it is kind of about. Well, I think I know the problem with that I have with that film is it doesn't really know what it's about. It seems to almost be about the people who are doing the research about the lake rather than the actual issues with the lake.
Right.
And the film somehow manages to not actually present its argument in a very good way.
That's disappointing.
because if you're going to talk about the lake and it's shrinking and you want to make it accessible to people who don't speak science,
Right.
you
Don't
could at least at some point show a picture that says this is the lake in 1980.
right.
This is the lake in 1990 or whatever, and just
Yeah.
show the shrinkage or what, however you want to. It
Right.
never does that. It never. It was almost like they set cameras up in rooms, let people talk, and then didn't think that they needed to go in and add something.
They didn't illustrate.
Visuals, yeah, to just make it in plain English.
Rude.
And it was just. I mean, it was thoroughly just disappointing. Let me put it that way. And it's not
That
like I mean, I live within a reasonable distance of the lake. I'm interested in what is happening,
right.
but it was just, it had a lot of politics in it
It never
too.
coalesced into an actual
No,
functional.
no, yeah, it was like, well, what are you saying? Are you trying to say that, look, here's a guy who's very active LDS Mormon, who's conservative Christian, who believes prayer will help fill the lake, but also a scientist who da da da. It was almost like you should listen to this guy, and it's like, well, then make a movie about him. Don't make it
There's
about the lake. Make it about
there's a
him.
thought.
If that's what you want to do that. Or
Right.
yeah, I don't know. It didn't feel focused, and I mean, I don't know. It just
I
it
don't know.
just wasn't effective. Which I watched. What is it? Let me get the title right. It's the film about the kids, the school kids who were caught in the cable car,
Oh, hanging
hanging
by a wire.
hanging by a
I
wire.
want to see that one. Then I didn't. I was supposed to. I would have seen that Thursday had I
Yes.
actually made it up there.
So that
Uh,
film is is very effective in the way that it does those things. It presents the scene incredibly well. It goes in. It has, they're like, okay, here's where they are. Let's do a graphic about how far off the ground they are, how high up they are, whatever. I mean, they set that film
and
did every
that's another documentary. And didn't they? There's no recreation there, is there?
no,
That's all
no.
footage.
Yes, and it's all from cell phones, drones. Yeah, it's all from just news. People
Yeah.
were there, but yeah, it's so they went in and filled in the things that we needed to know. Anything that you would ask
Or
as a
anything, the
viewer.
things that you need to understand
Yes, give me
what you're looking at.
set the scene for me. And the
Yeah.
visuals are pretty, you okay, but then when you start putting feet and footage, this is
Yeah.
how high up they are, and this is this, and yeah, I mean, they did a really good job of giving you a sense of the chaos that was there. And people would be like, well, that's an easier film because it's just an event that plays out over a day. Well, no, it's not. Um, it'd be an easier film to screw up, quite honestly, but
You're
they
right.
didn't. And it's kind of there's also an element to the film that kind of pissed me off in the sense that, um, and I don't know if the caste system in Pakistan is as bad as it is in India, but there did seem to be an element of the story that was um, that decisions were influenced based on
Who is
where is this person in the social structure.
uh
Who are we going to trust to do something?
right,
And it's going to be based on, are they wealthy?
right,
Are they upper class? Or are they some guy who may be just as good or smarter and done all these things more often than someone else? But we're going to tell him to not do anything
right.
because he's lower class.
A
And
social bureaucracy instead of a political one.
yeah. And so I mean, there are lots of elements to that film that, a lot of people get patted on the back that probably shouldn't. And
Well,
a lot of
that's
people.
probably you might want to rephrase your thing. It's not a problem with the film then, because the film adequately
No, 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 no. It's not a problem with the
presented.
film at all.
Okay,
No,
yeah,
No. The film, it's not a problem with the film. The film is really incredibly well done, and the documentary makers ask questions that get dismissed by people.
Oh,
Why did you what was why is this person get to do this and this other person doesn't? Well, they have money. Oh, you're really going to go with that? Okay.
yeah. Is that
I
your
mean,
final answer?
is that really what you want to be on the record saying? It is. Okay. All right. Well,
Just checking.
okay. That's going to play, anyway. But there are a lot of people who, and that's not to say that there were heroes of that day. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Um, some people just got to ride on the coattails of heroes, which always happens as well. But no,
Yeah.
it was an incredibly good film.
I'll be watching for it. I think it's already bought, so
It is Universal has it, so
it'll be somewhere.
yeah, I'm sure it'll get actually a pretty good theatrical release, and it's definitely worth watching. It's a really well made film. The drone footage in it, which was just some guy who got his drone out,
Yeah.
is great.
Well, that's good.
It's a very complex film. It's so many layers.
That's awesome.
So it was no, it was great. Um, I've seen the shorts, the midnight shorts and the animated shorts, and I'll be
Yeah.
honest, I'm not overly excited about either of the
Yeah.
um midnight shorts program had one that has potential.
Mhm.
Um that was, let's see if I can let's see, it was uh Taga, basically a monster
Yeah.
sort of film thing. Um but a lot of the other ones were just okay, I guess, or
That's sad.
I don't know. Didn't there wasn't anything that was like, oh, I want to see a feature film made from that. Which is often what the short films, you'll see some of them come back a couple years later as a feature at the
Right.
festival.
Yeah.
Um, but uh, Rock Springs, horror film,
That's one that I'm on that's on my list to catch up on.
liked that a lot.
Okay.
Um,
Well, I wanted to see it.
again, I won't say too much, but I'll just say that supernatural horror that has its roots in actual events um,
Yeah,
works better than just supernatural horror that's like, well, there are ghosts in the woods.
right. So
Why are there
the
ghosts in the
three that I
woods?
should be catching up on are Rock Springs, Night Nurse,
Okay.
and Burn.
Okay. And I do have Burn that I'll watch. I haven't watched that yet.
So yeah, I should be watching those tomorrow. So
Um, I saw the musical, which is
it was
film
on my
about
list, but apparently even our musical fellow critic Rachel, she was like, I thought it would at least be about a musical.
yeah, it's not really.
She was terribly disappointed.
No, and it wants to be a quirky, dark comedy
Right.
about, and this is actually this is a film that was based on a short that played at Sundance, I believe, or at least a short that played somewhere. And I don't know what that short is, although I would guess that it's the final performance. Um, but that's just a guess. But the whole thing is this is a film about the what did they phrase it as? Anyway, it's about spite.
Oh,
How powerful spite can be,
right.
and it just it didn't really come together.
Mm,
It never felt as alive as I think it thought it did, or as
ah,
controversial as it thought it was, or
right.
as I mean, you could look at it and say, well, yeah, that's in poor taste, but
That's
you
important.
you can do more with poor taste if you're going to do that, I guess.
True.
Ask Peter Jackson about his early films.
Yeah.
Just
Or not.
go if you're going to go for it, go for it. Don't
Yeah.
halfway. If this film has anything really to do with Peter Jackson, he just popped in my head because I was thinking there's no puppets in this. But
No.
anyway, no puppets. But Peter
So
Jackson has some crazy early stuff.
so so
Um,
so but we've seen some decent movies.
yeah, Ha Chan, Shake Your Booty was good.
Yeah, you posted the
Um,
review for that.
yeah.
I have to check it out.
Josephine. Oh my gosh.
Tell
That
me I'm
is a.
going to get to watch that soon.
I think so. Yeah, that is a film where you're sitting there and you're watching parents make bad decision after bad decision, but then you pause and say, what really were their options? The situation they're put in, could is there anything that is a good? What can you do that is guaranteed to be a good reaction or what, situate, and there isn't one. So it's an incredibly frustrating and kind of traumatic film
Right.
where you realize, and it has a lot to do with how do we protect our kids, and the fact of the matter is we can't. Your kids are
Right.
going to experience things, or your friends are people are going to experience things that you cannot prepare them for. It's going to happen, and it's going to put you in a position where you have to try to figure out, now that the trauma exists, what do we do with it? How
Wow.
do we what ha- it's I mean, it's a pretty powerful film, that also is pretty hard to watch, and it it's effective. It was really quite effective.
Yeah.
uh so I tried from the children's program, a film called Fing.
Mhm.
um
A lot of people mentioned that. How was it? Or what was it about?
it's a film that feels like a lot of other movies.
Mm,
You've got elements of classic things like ET, or there's quite a bit of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory in there. There's just a lot of other movies that are in there, and they,
right.
in the post Q&A, they acknowledged all the influences, and yes, and the thing about it for me is it didn't feel like a Sundance film. Um,
Oh,
it had clearly a pretty good budget. It had used the music clearances and the rights to the music in that film, probably. Well, I don't know how much because there's a sliding scale on how much it costs to put a particular song into your movie, and certain things demand more. And if you're an indie film and whatever, there's all sorts of things. But it honestly felt like the film spent more money on its songs than a lot of the other films spent on getting made.
wow.
So it just felt like not a bad family film. And we've seen some really bad family films. Let's be clear. At Sundance, has often struggled to get solid family films because that's not necessarily what they're known for, but they want to
Right.
make the festival family friendly. They want kids to be able to come out and see things. So into that regard, yeah, it's a family film that kids can see and they can enjoy because they got to talk to the directors and whatnot.
Right.
But it felt out of place for me.
So interesting. So let's talk about that. Didn't feel like a Sundance
Yeah.
film.
Yeah,
To wrap all this up, let's talk about this. So this year, I mean, Sunday, it didn't. To use a sports analogy, it felt like they were playing out the string this year.
mm,
It's like, oh, we got one more year, we got to play, and they put a festival together. No screenings in the Egyptian
yeah,
for the final Sundance.
yeah,
It's like what? But even on Saturday, opening
mm,
Saturday, walking up and down Main Street, mostly empty.
really,
It's like, what the hell? And this is after lunch, so it's not like people are still sleeping in,
yeah.
you know. Um, but it just felt it was very muted, except when you got to those films that everyone wanted to see, and then they're turning away hundreds of people. But just the entire atmosphere felt off. And
Well, I felt off. I felt, again, like, as I kind of intro, it did feel sad. And and again, three theaters in Salt Lake, and that's three screens. Let's be clear. That's,
yeah,
at three movies playing at any point is the most you were getting at any time in Salt Lake. And last year felt sort of the same way, in that they had just given up.
right,
And it's disheartening. And I think, there were a lot of people who went because it was last year, um, who were just more casual goers. There were obviously people who were diehards who had seen it, gone for years and years and years. But Yeah, I mean, I think the film experience itself, the atmosphere was different outside of the films,
Yeah.
and you know the well, and it's another thing that's really interesting is that Sundance used to be the sort of thing where everyone was having conversations in lines about what did you see, what have you seen, what should I see, da 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 da
Yeah.
da. Those weren't really happening for a couple of reasons because if you were in Salt Lake, you only had one chance to see a film,
Right.
which isn't unnormal or unusual, but it just kind of limits. Oh, I guess I'll have to, the response will be, I guess I'll have to see that some other time,
Yep.
or whatever. But also so many people on their phones
Oh God,
in
yes.
lines and things rather than communicating with each other, they were
Well,
jumping online to see if a review had been posted or
or if there
whatever
was
else they were
this,
doing.
or if there was a ticket available. I can't tell you,
Mhm.
dude, it actually pissed me off how many times I would be in a movie and a phone would pop out because the 2 hour
Oh yeah.
window for the e-wait list would start.
See, and with us, and that's part of why I didn't go to the P&I screenings as well, to be honest. But because the professionals sometimes don't behave as well as they should.
Right.
Um, but they were upfront and said if you're going to get on a PI list, you need to go out in the hall. Oh, or not PI list, the
Wait
wait
list.
list. You need to go out in the hall. We don't
Right.
want your phones out in here.
Right.
Um, but I think it's problematic the way that they set that up as well,
Well,
because
there were a lot of things problematic
yeah,
about Sundance the last couple years.
the wait list thing, in theory, it should work, but when your diehard people who are going to the films have to leave a film just to get on a wait list,
Right.
there's something wrong with that. And I don't
Yeah,
know
and
how you fix that.
I
But
can't tell you how many press people I listened to that had the working press pass and had
yeah,
no idea how that worked. And they were like, "What?" It's like at every other festival, it's like your press
yeah,
and you move on. And it's like they didn't know that there were tiers of press. I'm like,
yeah.
"Yes."
And there've always been tiers, but I think that there was the basic level fulfilled what most people expected it to, and I don't know that that's how it is. Well, I know that's not how it is right now.
No, and I
There
don't
there
know
was there
if
was a
they're gonna keep
basic
that.
level, a basic level that you could get into P&I screenings if you waited in line. There was room. It wasn't. Yeah, I know you had to wait until 5 minutes before,
Yep.
which again, if you're, it doesn't. You don't even. There's no point for you to show up early,
No, well,
really.
there is because you
Well, I
wanna be
guess
at the
because you
head
have
of
to
that
get.
line.
I guess you got to the head of that line. Yeah. Anyway, but then your odds of getting in are still reduced to the point of frustration.
Yep.
Um, yeah,
It
there
just
were there were things there was I don't know that this year was a complete afterthought, but I guess playing out the string is not, the films themselves were not just playing out the string,
no,
but the festival as a whole,
kinda
that
felt that
then
way.
kind of, yeah.
It just
um
I think they're already boxing up and, you know, renting a U-Haul.
yeah, they got the new lover, they're thinking about that.
Yep. So it's just weird. I mean, but overall, yeah, the films were for the most part typical Sundance, except again, it's when there are more big picture or big studio films than there are small independent films, that's a problem.
And this year was not as bad as it was maybe a decade ago, well, more like 15 years ago. There was a time in the aughts
Yeah.
where things really got turned upside down, and Sundance was more like a lot of the other festivals about red carpets and parties and things,
Yeah.
and it had really become less about the films. And that is in one way where when the economy went south, the festival no longer had all the and part of that problem was not the festival itself. Let's be clear about that. It
Right.
was just that you would have all these, Rolling Stone would have a big party, Spin would have a big party, all these outside people
Right.
would come in and throw big parties. Um, and so the focus really turned into, well, who's going to the parties, and the focus on the films really, it slid away.
Yeah.
And you also had all these other festivals that were trying to feed off of Sundance. You had, Slam Dance, long-standing, but you had other dance, all sorts of little film dance things, that miniature festivals that were popping up just as a like, hey, you can't get into Sundance films, so why don't you come over here? And it was really oversaturated and chaotic, and I'm sure a lot of people loved that, but it really wasn't about movies.
No.
And the economy bottomed out, and so all the magazines and all the, couldn't afford to do those big things anymore. And the focus started shifting back to the films, and,
Yeah.
and shifting away from having Miramax have marquees everywhere, whatever,
Yeah.
and, um, those were so I think those were the good days, and I think that the festival has been pretty good, but I think the last, the pandemic obviously kind of messed everything up, and rebounding from that was always going to be difficult regardless. But I don't know that they made all the best decisions. I don't think that leaving
Right.
is in the long run the best option for the festival. But I completely understand why they wanted out of Park City, and Park City, to be quite honest, never really felt like um, they appreciated what they had.
Right.
um, or that's and I'm sure they could throw out a list of, well, we did this, and this, but um,
Comes down to
but,
dollars.
well, it comes down to dollars, and the fact that Park City seemed to think that they could do just fine without it.
We shall see.
And yeah, we'll see. And I really had wished that Salt Lake had been given a better shot um, at hosting.
Yeah.
It may not have been ideal, but it's a whole lot more ideal than Boulder. Um, and the infrastructure down here would have made things, you just set things up along the light rail,
Yep.
and then people can get to anywhere they want, and it's going to be, the infrastructure was here for it, and the theaters were here for it. But
Oh yeah.
the moment they started talking about not staying, suddenly Salt Lake saw less and less screenings.
Yeah.
And I think that's a shame. I think you could have had a really good festival based out of Salt Lake City, still have a couple showings up in Park City, kind of flip the script, have something at the Egyptian, something at the Eccles.
Yeah.
I think it could have worked, and I think it could have worked magnificently, but we're not there, and they kind of phoned it in, I guess, a little bit, and this may be it.
Yeah.
For me, I don't know.
So
We'll see.
yeah, I don't I can't see myself trucking out the Boulder for, I don't know. Well, maybe next year next year I think it's going to be gangbusters because they're not going to allow it to fail.
Yeah,
But then by the time they start rolling into the second one, any complaints people would have had are going to start cropping up leading into that second one.
yeah,
Like,
we'll
well,
see.
I hope they fix this thing or that other thing or
Yeah,
whatever.
well,
That's going to pop up. So the honeymoon will be over after the first one.
yeah, and I
Um,
wish him well, and I wish that my goal had always been to have a film in the Sundance Film Festival, and I didn't get that. Didn't get close, which is disappointing for me.
yeah.
On my behalf, I'm disappointed in myself on that. But it was a rough couple days for me. Again, saying goodbye
And,
to this thing that it's been a part of my life for
and what
my
the,
whole
the
life.
festival ends what, Tuesday? So it's
Sunday, yeah.
yeah, so there's only like three days left, Friday, Saturday,
and
Sunday.
and essentially for me, there's I'm well, I might see, there's a couple things I might see Saturday in theaters, we'll see, but
Yeah.
um
So it's craziness.
yeah,
But
so I'll have a ton of reviews coming up over the next couple days. um
I'm trying to get mine written. I just did a video for the first day, the first four films I saw.
so we'll
On
we'll
those.
get we'll get some reviews up over the next couple days of a lot of things, and um some mostly good things. A few
Yeah.
disappointing things along the way. Again, that I was kind of a bit disappointed in the shorts. Some of them are
Yeah.
interesting and out there and wild, and some of them were like, "Ugh, I don't okay." Um, but rotoscoping seems to be a thing right now. which
when
is
done properly,
yeah, can work.
can work. So there you go. That's how we feel about the final Park City based Sundance Film Festival. Watch for those reviews to hit. We have more movies in theaters coming out. We're gonna be writing these reviews for a while. So stay with us, stay tuned, check them out. Don't forget to like us, follow us on social media. Go to the website, vsmoviepodcast.com, where you'll get links to all of that stuff. If you're here on YouTube, click subscribe. That would be great as well. If you're listening, subscribe at your favorite podcast outlet. There you go.
Yeah, thanks.
And till we talk to you again, be good, stay safe. I'm Mark. That's Ryan. Bye, Ryan.
See you guys.
And we'll talk to y'all later.